Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're going to do something a little different. That is, we're going to purposely review movies that are bad or considered not good by the mainstream. And what we're going to end up telling you is if we think it's a good bad movie that is an enjoyably bad movie or just a bad movie that you should avoid. Also, for these movies, we're not going to worry about spoilers. So just be aware of that. We're just going to talk free for all, spoilers included.
An anthropologist boards the Trans-Siberian Express with a frozen specimen he hopes to prove is the missing link. But, en route to Europe, passengers start to be picked off, murdered by an otherworldly entity in Horror Express.
I saw it when I was 10 or 11 years old, and it terrified me. And so I always wanted to see it again. And I'm glad that we were able to stream it with a pretty good. I found on Tubi, there's two versions, a really bad version and a really good version. So I watched the good version.
That's fun. I watched the bad version.
You did?
Yeah.
There's
Well, I
one
don't know.
like that. There's two, and I clicked on the first one, and it's like, oh my god, it looks terrible. And then I clicked on the second one, it's so clean. Yeah, it's so much better.
I don't know. It didn't tell me, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the pan and scan washed out version, which is.
Oh yeah,
what I
there's a
saw.
better version. Yeah.
Okay. Crap. Well, anyone
so
watching
it's
this
yeah, watch the better
knows
version.
now at least. Yeah.
I think you can even buy it on Blu-ray. Probably not worth it. But it's a Hammer like light movie. It stars Christopher Lee and Pierre Cushing and Telly Savalas, Kojak, and it's basically the murder on the Orient Express if the murderer is an 2 million-year-old alien that's jumping from host to host. And I remember growing up, I saw it and it terrified me. And I always had, I never saw it again. And I'm so glad we did get to see it again. It doesn't really hold up, but all of the three actors are great. But so the plot is, Christopher Lee is an archaeologist, and he has found a proto-human frozen in the ice of Siberia. Is that right? Siberia? No, it's more like China, Manchuria, I think. And he puts the frozen body in a crate, and it gets onto the Trans-Siberian train, and he's going to take his find to Moscow, I think. And the all the train work. Well, the first they did get to use a real train for some of the interiors and for that opening shot of the train, but then the rest of the train is miniatures. And for 1972, they look fantastic still, I think. Just this train going through blizzard desert area. But it's a funky little movie. I can't recommend it. It's the cast is really good though, and I did have fun watching it again. What did you think?
So not knowing anything about this movie beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
I thought in the beginning I thought Christopher Lee had like unearthed like a Yeti or something.
That's what it did look like. Yeah.
So then I figure, okay, so then the movie's gonna be on the train and the Yeti's gonna come back to life and start killing people,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So I was, in a way, then I was surprised the way it became this kind of supernatural alien type of thing.
Oh, it's almost like The
Where,
Thing, right?
yeah, so I went to look up, more about the movie, and it is loosely based on Who Goes There by John Campbell, which is, the inspiration for The Thing and other
Mm-hmm.
movies. So, in that way, this movie would, I guess, fit well into that very specific genre of alien horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like The Thing, right, where the alien will possess people or take them over,
Yes.
but it doesn't it doesn't do all that wild gore mutation stuff from The Thing. Um like literally what their eyes turn the alien's eyes will turn red, and it will make other people's eyes bleed, right?
Yes, and then
And
they die, and
take
then
over
takes
them.
over them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the fact that it is based on Who Goes There and is part of this collection of movies made it more enjoyable to me, rather than
Mm-hmm.
if it had just been like the Yeti just
Running amok.
yeah,
Yes.
killing people. And
I thought the so like when the monster looks at you and your eyes bleed, and then you go blind, and they actually put prosthetic white caps in all of the actors' eyes that die. Um, that I saw a little behind the scenes. Well, it was a photo of them putting this big thing in 1972. That must have been hell for the actors. Um,
one one thing that I liked in this version of Who Goes There
mhm.
versus say The Thing is, normally the monster, the alien is just trying to survive, right? And so it's just picking people off left and right. And in this movie, it actually reasons with the good guys, and it speaks right through the people it's taken over.
Yep,
So it has an intelligence, and it even tries to tempt the good guys. I think it's Cushing later on, and saying it can deliver all this science and medicine to help the world, so you should let me live and whatnot.
yep.
I thought that was an interesting take on this the story.
I also like the character of the, I don't know, Eastern Orthodox priest, kind of a Rasputin-esque character who's traveling with some very rich Russians, and I think he starts to he figures out he's the first one to figure out that the alien or the monster is possessing people. Like he goes to someone that's possessed, right, and is like, "I'll serve you," and then he's the one that gets
Yeah.
possessed. But yeah, when
Well,
he's
he
like
kind of.
reasoning with the like, he's like, "Oh, I'm an alien. I have all this knowledge and stuff." It's like, "Oh, this could go out kind of well," except he's killed so many people on this train.
Um, one of the you mentioned something about Cushing having lost his wife. You want to tell that?
Oh yeah. I read last night that Peter Cushing tragically lost his wife, I think, to cancer, and this was the first movie he did after her funeral. And uh, I I think he met with I think I'm trying to remember. I think he flew out to wherever they were shooting. I think they were shooting in Spain, and he flew there to tell the director and producer in person that he wasn't going to do the movie, that he couldn't do the movie, and that it was Christopher Lee who convinced him to to work and to take your mind off of the pain of losing your wife. And yeah, um, sad story, but they're both great in it. And this is like it's almost it's kind of a Hammer movie, but it's not. And they're both friendly and they're both normal people. Neither of them become possessed, you know? They're both good guys and they kind of work together. They kind of don't. They kind of get along, but they kind of don't. It's nice to see the two of them. Neither of them's the monster. You know what I mean? And then seeing Telly Savalas as a Cossack, I don't know, captain or something who gets on the train with some soldiers to like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. Um, Telly Savalas is great.
When he came, uh, you mentioned the fact that he's introduced to us as just kind of like a well, how do I say this without swearing? Well, he's okay. He's introduced to us as just like this macho cop in a way, right?
Yeah,
He's not a cop, but
he's more
he's
like a soldier. Yeah.
an official, and he's bedded all these women or whatever, and um, he shows up with his force. But when he came on, I kind of laughed to myself because it really reminded me of if this movie was made now of like having Vin Diesel show up, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Savalas doesn't show up till like almost towards the end, right?
Yes.
It takes a long time for him to come, um, and then he gets killed, right? Too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's not a cameo, but it's a smaller
Yeah. Like he's only in the
role.
third act, I'd say.
Yeah, but it is. I think it is in a way a breath of fresh air at that point in the movie. Um, One thing that I found out about this movie, which I thought was interesting, was really the genesis was that, according to the internet,
Mm.
that the producer had came upon a train set, the interior of a train set, and so that prompted this story to come about. So what they did was they filmed in sequence, and they would just dress in that the train set for one thing, right? This time it's the dining cart or
Oh
whatever.
wow.
This time it's the VIP stateroom or whatever.
Okay.
And so they would have to shoot based upon what it was made up at that time, because they weren't dressing and redressing, right? It was shot in sequence of what it
Of
was
the
made of
set
at
of
that
the set.
particular moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's how you
So
gotta do it. Yeah.
the set motivated the shooting schedule basically, but it's a clever way of filmmaking, right? Low budget
Yeah.
filmmaking to just get away with using the same set over and over. Um,
And then the at the end of the movie, the alien who is now in the form of I can't even remember. Um, he ends up the train goes over a cliff, and the model work is great. The explosion is not great, and it goes it full it that's quite a cliff. But it's a happy ending, and the good guys, although they're kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere on the end of a cliff in the middle of a blizzard, might be in some trouble. But
I have to say, in the pan and scan version, the effects did not hold up.
well, I mean, it's 1972.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wish I had known you got to see the
Yeah, I
deluxe
saw the
version.
deluxe version.
But so this movie must have a following, right? Because like you mentioned, there is like a special edition DVD or Blu-ray of
Yes.
it.
Yep. In fact, I think I own it, and I never watched it. I bought it maybe like 5, 10 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I thought you were gonna watch that
I should
version.
have, but I
Yeah.
didn't. I can't find it.
So okay. I wonder if they have a good making of
Oh my
documentary
god.
about it.
If they do, I'll let you know.
Uh,
I'll update everybody.
uh, This movie, I also read, it was like a lot of movies, low budget European movies of that era. It was shot mostly MOS,
Ah,
that is without production
yep.
sound. And I think you and I, we always wondered, well, then how did they, if, because they shoot it and then the actors come back and redub
Mm-hmm.
it, you know? But they had to have recorded some kind of production sound in order to dub it that well, honestly, later
Yeah,
on.
probably.
For I get that sometimes, like in the spaghetti westerns too, they used like, European actors for the minor roles, and their lips are way off because they may have even been speaking like
Yep.
Italian or Spanish or
Mm-hmm.
something. But for the main actors, those, you know, the the major players, it's pretty much in sync, and
Yes.
so that it makes me feel like they had to have had like a scratch track at least in order to sync it later that well.
I don't know. It's movie
Because
magic.
that, because just from a sound editing standpoint, sorry to get so technical here, but back in that day, they're cutting magnetic sound. It's like a roll of
Yep.
film, but it's a strip of magnetic
Yep.
sound, and they're cutting that with the movie on film,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you can imagine how tedious that would be. So in order to get it so well that they had to have had recorded something on set. But
I didn't notice anything
uh
weird with people's mouths.
hmm.
So
Well, I feel like the crazy priest guy, it was kind of off. So he was like,
okay, yeah, you're right.
maybe he was speaking Spanish or
Or he
something,
had a crazy accent.
or
Yeah.
yeah, really bad
Yep.
English. Um, so anyway, so here's the $1 million question: is this a good bad movie or a bad movie?
Uh, it's a well. I mean, you have
You want me? My take,
those two actors. Just
my take is
yeah,
that, yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
my take would be that for movies that may be kind of borderline or whatever, my thing is, would I ever just want to watch this movie again just for the fun of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think my answer would be
Okay.
no. And for that reason, I would say it's just a bad
Yeah.
movie.
It is.
Although, it has its merits.
Yeah, mostly the two leads, and then Telly Savalas, and some of the model work. Um, but yeah, it's not a good movie. Is it a
Well, good bad movie. Is
is
it a
it a
good bad
good
movie to
bad
you?
movie? I think with those two actors and their acting, they're good. They're charismatic.
Yeah.
Um, and there's some comedy to it as well. Did you
Mhm.
catch that in the dining car scene before all until before the hit the fan? Um, everyone's having dinner, and uh, Peter Cushing has a like an assistant, a secretary or something, or maybe coworker, a woman.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because I laughed.
Yeah, and
That was one of
and
the.
it's like this beautiful Russian heiress is has been flirting with Peter Cushing, and then she's died. I think she's dead. She's been killed, and so he finds this out, and he goes to his secretary, and is like, um, "Oh, I need your help with the heiress."
Miss Jones, I shall need your assistance.
Yes, well, at your age, I'm not surprised.
With an autopsy.
Oh, well, that's different.
She's dead, and I need your help to do a autopsy. And it's like, what did she think he was asking? Like, to have a threesome or help give him some, I don't know.
Yeah,
But it was funny.
it kind of
I
yeah,
like that.
kind of a you know, a
Double entendre,
I
but a
don't know how
weird
to
one.
put it. Right. Well, delicately putting it, you know, of an older man needing help getting
Getting it up for
ready,
a beautiful
getting
young woman. But it's like, what
well,
is his secretary
right.
gonna do?
I don't
Like,
know. Right.
does she have
She
his
was that
meds
actress was kind of well
back
back
then?
then. What would
Oh,
it
no
have been?
cocaine.
She kind of reminded me of that little old woman from
Kind of.
Poltergeist.
Yep.
You know, the
Uh huh.
short woman who's I don't know if she's a dwarf. Is she really a dwarf in Poltergeist?
Close.
Maybe.
Can't think of her name.
Well, anyway, it sounds like from you, you're kind of going with good bad
I
movie
mean, it's not really a
if
good
you
bad
have to
movie.
choose.
It's not really. I saw it as a kid and I kind of enjoyed
Well,
it, but yeah, it doesn't hold up.
yeah.
It's not The Thing. It's not even John Ford's The Thing from Outer Space.
Mm,
It's yeah,
mm. Well, okay, so let's just end with I think if you like Hammer films, you'd want to give and you haven't seen this, you'd
yeah.
want to give it a shot. And if you like the thing in movies based on who goes there, you'd want to give it a
And if you
shot.
like Christopher Lee and Peter
And if you're
Cushing, they're
yeah,
young, you know.
or Telly
Yep.
Savalas, if you're a
If you're
fan
gonna
of
watch
him, then you'd
30
want to
horror
see it.
movies on, in October, this could be one of them.
Hmm. Uh, all right, so that was
Horror
Horror
Express.
Express.